What's up, nail fiends? Welcome back to another video. So first off, I just want to say I hope you guys had a fabulous weekend and that you're all doing well. And today on my channel, I am going to be bringing you guys along for part 2 of my nail transformation. So this is the design I did on top of the clear base I created in my last video. So if you guys would like to see how I created this autumn inspired mint acrylic set, then just keep on watching. So my lovelies, diving right in with today's video, and as you guys are well aware, I've already created my base. If you're interested in that video, I will leave it linked down below for you guys. So I put oil and things like that on my hands when I'm finished applying and filing my nails. It just helps greatly because I do have really dry skin. So what I'm going to do now is take my Ink London nail cleanser, and I'm just going to use this with a lint-free pad and basically just remove the oil from the nail plate before going in with the rest of my acrylic. So guys, like I said, I am using acrylic for this design and I'm using the Ink London system for the base of my nails. So I'm starting with Sydney, which is their Cover Nude, Hepburn, which is a really beautiful mint shade, and also their Clear. So starting with that ring finger, guys, and as you can see, this is going to be the base of my ombre nail. So I'm first going in with Hepburn, which is that gorgeous sort of Tiffany shade. It is freaking stunning and has a little bit of shimmer to it. So yeah, I went in at the bottom of the nail with this one and I feathered that up slightly into the center point of the nail. And then I basically just went in with a little bit more of acrylic, to where I felt like it needed a little bit more color. And then what I did was ombre that with Sydney, which is one of Ink London's cover powders, and it's a really beautiful shade and they matched absolutely gorgeous together. So basically what I found when I was doing my trial and error here was that working with wetter beads was definitely the way to go. You want to make sure you have enough fluid there that both of those colours are going to blend, and I actually found that working with a little bit of pink and then going in with a little bit more of that mint really helped the ombre. And I'm not even kidding, guys, it was probably one of the better ombres that I've done in all of my time doing acrylic in the last 5 months. It has been the bane of my existence, but I was actually really pleased with how these colours blended together. And then as you can see here, guys, once I have got the full sort of acrylic on the nail, I will then start to go in with some more acrylic where I feel it needs a little bit more colour. So I tend to find that I miss the very corner of my nail. I do it all the time. I don't know why. So I do like to go in with a little bit more acrylic and just make sure I have got complete coverage over that whole nail. And then I finished off this nail with another layer of that Hepburn. It was a really wet layer and I just went ahead and feathered that back up into the cover powder, and that's where you could start to see the ombre come to life. So now we are moving on to my middle finger, and this one is going to be a French tip nail. I'm starting with a sort of a chevron smile line. So you can see me going in here with that Sydney acrylic powder, and I'm just using the body of my brush to form the basis of the shape that I want. I will go in later on and file it properly into shape, but I like to go in with that rough shape just to make my filing life a little bit easier. And now I'm just going in to start building up that wall, so I have something to file against and also something to butt my acrylic up against. And then I finally finish off with one last bead of that Sydney acrylic powder, and I just once again make sure I've got that nicely formed around my cuticle area, and then I drag the remainder back down into the side walls. And here's what the nails look like so far, guys. And now, guys, going on to my favourite part of any nail design, which is jazzing them up. So I'm using 2 glitters from Smiley's Glitter Store, a Lush Peppermint and also Candy Puff. So first going in with Candy Puff and some clear acrylic powder, I'm doing a full cover on my pinky nail with this glitter. And I must admit, guys, I am freaking in love with this. It's actually one of my newer purchases and also one of Smiley Glitter Store's newer releases. When when I saw it, I needed it in my life. It is gorgeous. So I went ahead and did 2 coats on that pinky, and then I'm going in and adding some of that exact same glitter to my ombre nails. And I did the ombre nails slightly different. On one nail I did a sort of like S shape going around the whole cuticle area and then coming down into the tip of the nail. And then on my ring finger I kind of did just basically like glitter coming off to one side, so it kind of looked like a waterfall. I don't know, it made sense in my head at the time and it did look really quite cool, the different glitters on each nail. But I just love this glitter, it's so freaking gorgeous. Let me know what you guys think of this one. And then what I did was go ahead and put a really thin coat of clear acrylic onto the pinky, the ring finger and also the pointer. And now I'm going to go ahead and do some filing off camera, and this is what everything looks like once I've gone ahead and filed in the smile line and all of that good stuff. And then as you can see, I'm going in with my nail sanitizer and giving those nails a really good scrub and getting rid of all of that dust before I go in with my next acrylic application. So lovelies, jumping right back onto that middle finger, and as you can see I'm once again using that Hepburn acrylic powder from Ink London, and I'm basically just pushing some of that right up into those side walls and then dragging the remainder down onto the tip. I wasn't too bothered about having a lot of acrylic on the tip because as you can see I'm now going in with a crap ton of glitter, so I was covering it up anyway. So I'm basically using Lush Peppermint here with some clear acrylic powder, and I'm just using this to fill in that part of the nail. And then I just also wanted to mention, guys, like you see here, I have already put some wet acrylic down. So when I picked up the glitter the next time, all I did was go ahead and dip it into that monomer. So this is basically just the monomer and the glitter. And that way I find I don't get an overly bulky nail. I could just put the glitter where I want and it already sticks into that wet acrylic. And then I could go ahead with my clear bead and build the structure as I want, as opposed to needing to file off a really bulky tip. And please excuse the fact that my voice just completely disappeared there. I do not know what happened. So yeah, now that I have all of my glitter on the nails, I am going in once again with that clear acrylic powder, and I'm going to go ahead and encapsulate all of those nails. And then once again, guys, to save you time, I have already gone ahead and allowed that acrylic to completely set, and then I went ahead and filed, buffed, shaped the nails off camera just to save you some time. But if you guys would like to see my filing routine, let me know and I will definitely film something like that. But like I say, it's probably one of my weaker points at the moment. And now, of course, we've got to add some gloss. So I am going to be using Glitterbels No Wipe Top Coat. I freaking adore this stuff. It is super glossy and one of my firm favourites. It's definitely one of the newer ones in my collection, but it is completely just, I adore it. I freaking just can't say anything more other than I adore it. Just look at it. Like, guys, just look at how freaking awesome that is. It just brings your glitter to life, and the fact that it's no wipe, it's just one less thing that I need to do, really. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply a really nice even coat of this to all of the nails, once again making sure I cap the tip of my nail and also curve around that side walls for a full complete coverage of that gel. And then what I will do is go ahead and pop my hand into my LED light for 60 seconds to fully cure that product. And finally, guys, this is what the nails look like once I've added all of the top coat. I mean, come on, just look at how freaking shiny those are. Please tell me that that top coat is not just fabulous. So while once again I think those nails would be fabulous on their own, I do want to add a little bit of 3D bling, which I am going to be doing myself, so stay tuned for possibly the most stressful 15 minutes of my life. So I'm using 2 Glitterbels acrylic powders here. First liquid copper, then I'm using citronella, and then I'm also using Ink London's Sydney. So I have my CGP acrylic brush here. This is their 3D precise one, and then I also have my monomer with a little bit of acetone in it just to help this dry a little bit quicker. So I started with citronella for the middle of my flower. So I just went and formed my petal shape there, and I'm now rolling that into shape. I did have to use my fingers, which you do not want to do in terms of touching acrylic, but I'm an idiot anyway, so let's be realistic. So I just added a little bit of acrylic to my little piece of paper here, and I stuck that on just so it stayed firm while I went ahead and did the rest of the flowers. So I am just forming the petals here. I am doing little ombre ones with that liquid copper and also Sydney from Ink London, and then I'm just wrapping that around my little center point here. Yeah, I did have to go in with little bits of acrylic at some points because I did find that they dried a little bit quicker than I was used to, but I did find once I added the acetone to my monomer that it was so much freaking easier to work with. I did seem to like completely breeze through the second rows, whereas the first one was just so much of a struggle waiting on everything to dry and whether I was picking it up at the right time or not. But yeah, anyway, enough with the struggle. Back to this rose. So you can see that I've added now some of that Sydney acrylic powder in a petal on its own. I didn't want it to be too yellow or too copper. I did want it to be a little bit of an ombre one with a sort of autumn feel to it. And then once again, guys, I am just going to go ahead and form another petal with liquid copper and also that Sydney. And I basically just rotated between the different colours. So when I was finished with my flower, it looked like a really nice sort of ombre autumn feel, like all the different shades of autumn. That was kind of what I was going with. And you'll also notice that once I wrap that petal around my flower, I am going to be bending the top bit just to give it a more realistic rose appearance. You do want to do this quite quickly because as soon as you wrap that acrylic around, it tends to dry quite quick. So you do want to go in and dip your brush once again into that monomer and acetone mix and just bend that little bits of those petals where you want to. And before I go ahead and pop them on the nail, here is the finished result, just so you could see one that's almost finished and one that is completely finished with different sort of feels to each flower. And then before I applied my little roses to the nail, I'm just going to be taking my e-file here and I'm just filing off the excess acrylic. And I did go ahead and pop that on my nail to match where I wanted to take it off, if that makes any sense. I didn't want them to be too tall, so I did take off a little bit of that acrylic, but still checking on my nail to make sure I took off enough and not too much. And now, guys, we are moving on to the bling, which again, you know me, it's my favourite part. So I'm using a few items from Bluestreak Crystals. I'm using some crystolite pointed back chatons, their unicorn mix, and I'm also using the Crystal Ninja Tanto pickup tool. So going in first with this Missu jewellery gel. This is the one that's designed by Tony Lai. You guys know it's my favourite way of adding bling to my nails. And I'm also using that Glitterbels No Wipe Gel top coat. So I do start with taking a good chunk of that gel and I apply that on the nail. Obviously, I will realise that I have taken far too much and I will remove some, but this gel is super thick, so it's not going anywhere. You don't need to worry about it flooding the cuticles or anything like that, so you can go ahead and remove as much as you want without needing it, like just worrying about it running basically. And then, as you can see, guys, onto that wet gel, I'm applying my little acrylic flowers here. I do prefer to apply my acrylic flowers with the gel as opposed to acrylic, because then I could get in with my crystals and take my time, form what I want on the nail and not worry about it just drying as quick as possible. So I also added some tiny little rosebuds in there as well, using that liquid copper and citronella. And now going in with that absolutely gorgeous unicorn mix from Bluestreak Crystals. I've also mixed some caviar beads up with that gel, and then I'm also using some of these beautiful crystolite pointed back chatons as well. So again, going in with a little bit more gel so my crystals have something to adhere to. I'm first going in with 2 of those pointed back chatons, and then I also went in with a little sort of like, I think they're called navettes. I'm not 100% sure, but they were in this unicorn mix. So I am basically applying one of those up to the top of the cuticle. So I'm basically just forming a sort of a cluster. And now guys, I am using that already. I've basically mixed these little beads up with some of that Missu jewellery gel, and I'm using that basically to cover up any of the little areas that the gel has poked through. So basically underneath where my roses are, and it also just covers up any of the ugly parts that where you've wrapped the rose and things like that. It's just a really handy little way to cover up anything that you're not really wanting on your cluster. And then I'm going in again with some of that Glitterbels No Wipe Gel Top Coat, and I'm basically using this to adhere some more little crystals. Again, these are also from that unicorn mix. They basically have some really beautiful crystallite opals. They also have Swarovski crystals in Pacific Opal, I think they're called. I am absolutely loving those at the moment, and actually went out and bought the large packet. They are just so freaking gorgeous and go with anything. And then as you can see guys, here is that little navette that I was talking about. I just popped that up to basically finish off the rest of my clusters, so it was formed around the whole circle, if that makes any sense. And then I went in and fully cured that nail. I did go in and do 120 seconds while I tilted my finger, just to make sure that light penetrated underneath all of those roses and everything was secured to the nail. And finally, my friends, here is what the nails look like once I have gone ahead and added a little bit of bling also to that ring nail as well. So this is the set completely finished, and I'm now going to go in once again with some of that Glitterbels No Wipe Top Coat, just to bring the shine back to those nails that I added the bling to. Again, I'm buttoning that right up to those crystals, but not going over them. But I am going over the caviar beads just to make sure they stay on the nail. And then once again, I will cure that for 60 seconds. And you guys, you know the drill. I have already gone ahead and washed my hands, and I'm now going to go in with my favourite hand cream, which, as you guys know, is the Soap and Glory hand food. I'm working this really into my skin, giving my fingers a good massage. I have very dry skin, so I tend to really give my fingers some TLC after a nail design. And then I'm now going to finish off with my favourite cuticle oil, which at the moment is this Love Island one that was handmade for me by someone very special that I have met in this nail community. I love her oils, so I'm basically just drowning myself in that oil and then really working that into the skin as well. And then, as always guys, I do leave that to just set on my hands, allow that cream and oil to really sink in for probably about 15 minutes. And here is what my design looks like once everything is complete. And finally, my lovelies, that has us reached the end of today's video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed my autumn-inspired mint ombre nails. I was actually really proud with how these turned out. I have been trying to do my own acrylic roses, practicing here and there for quite a while now, and I can't believe with just a little bit of acetone in the monomer how they changed my game. I honestly was blown away. So if you're looking for a tip or trick there, definitely take that one away here, because it absolutely works. And finally, to finish off today's video guys, if you did enjoy this mint autumn ombre set, then please give me a thumbs up. I would totally appreciate it. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't already, don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that notifications bell to be updated anytime I upload a new video. And if you don't mind, please don't forget to give this video a like and give it a little share. It helps greatly with my channel. And as always, to my lovely returning subscribers, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!